is it Matthew Holt?
USI.
USI.
At Matthew Holt, USI.
There it is. Feel free to tweet us out throughout the night. Eventually, I wrote it down on my paper here, and I didn't do a good job of looking down at my own notes. We've got action going on. Both Matt and I have Texas Tech on the money line in some sort of parlay. Matt's is a little more extravagant than mine. I think it was a 10-legger that's been alive. How many weeks has that bad boy been alive?
It's about 10 days old now, yeah. Yeah.
You're a little more patient than me. I just fired on 3 games going into the night, and Drake and Loyola coming home with relative ease in the Missouri Valley. And Texas Tech right now, it is a bit of a slugfest between the Red Raiders and the Sooners, 26-18. And Oklahoma, as many people know, dealing without Austin Reeves and Alondis Williams. And, this was an interesting spot for Texas Tech, Matt. They're at home, laying 7.5, 7, depending on where you looked. And Oklahoma is red hot. This is a team that had a huge win, I think surprising to many. I ended up grabbing Alabama in-game over the weekend, and that obviously did not come home as Oklahoma had a massive victory over Alabama without Reeves and Williams, who are out due to COVID protocols. This was an interesting spot, and Texas Tech right now, we'll see how it plays out, but hovering right around that number.
I joined you in that in-play on Alabama the other day on Saturday, and I thought it was a good spot, but yet unbelievable, Manic and everybody just kept coming through, making big shots. I mean, Lon Kruger's done such an amazing job down there in Norman. These guys coming off beating Kansas, beating Texas, beating Alabama. The run's been epic, but it's also a fatiguing run. And now you have to go against that grinding defense of Chris Beard and the Red Raiders, and it's starting to show up. Although, give credit to Oklahoma. They're fighting back again here tonight. Cut it down to 6 now, 26-20 with 18:20 to play.
Well, I want to stick with college basketball because this is, I think some people who have seen VEASAN know my personality. I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit when it comes to bets, and I don't know what's more infuriating, Matt. I've got Blazers team total over 112.5. It's just not going to come home. They've given up here in the fourth quarter, which I was a little worried about, and ultimately it's just a loser, and that happens all the time.
Yep, every day.
I don't know what's more frustrating, Matt, having a loser just being on the wrong side, or having a winner and not pulling the trigger. Because earlier today, Matt, I had my phone sitting out, staring at it. It was 3:56 here in Las Vegas. Tip was in 4 minutes down in Coral Gables, staring at Miami getting 11 at home. Look, I realize Miami's been banged up. Chris Likes, a DC guy like myself, has been out the majority of the year. It's been a rough year for Jim Larrañaga's squad. But if anyone has watched Duke this year, Matt, and they are laying 11 on the road, this was a 3-9 ATS team in Duke, and I saw that money was coming in on Duke. I got scared off. I said, I'm not going to play it. And Miami not only covers, they win outright. So not a great day. I'm watching that game. I almost want Miami to somehow blow this thing up, so I feel a little bit better about myself. But at the end of the day, Miami wins this game 77-75. The Dukies are now 3-10 ATS, 7-6 straight up this season.
Yeah, really disappointing effort. And it's hard to pull the trigger on Miami, and it's not just Likes that's out. They've missed so many guys. They're just decimated with injuries. And when you have a team like that, they have played a couple of up spots this year, but they've also had a couple of just absolute eggs. And you don't know what you're getting with that many guys out, but I'm with you. How in the world do you lay 11 on the road with Duke? But to your point, money came in on the Blue Devils today, surprisingly, and they didn't show up again.
And a game we're keeping an eye on that's going to be a loser for me. I got too cute. Sometimes you get too cute. I thought the Blazers we're going to have a chance to be competitive with Milwaukee the way that they've played defensively, Matt. But tonight was a night for the Bucks. They have hammered the Trailblazers, and they're going to win this one 134-106. So the Bucks went off as a 10-point favorite, got down to 9.5, was sitting there at 9.5 for a good chunk of the day. And this is a Bucks team that I think a lot of people, coming off of back-to-back pretty ugly losses. For Portland, for Milwaukee, 4-4 straight up, 2-6 ATS. But this was the right spot, a get right spot for Milwaukee. I played team total over for Portland, doesn't get home, but the over does come home. So if you took the over 235, that's a winner. And the Bucks, I don't know what to think of this Bucks team overall when it comes to the Eastern Conference, but a solid bounce back for them after a really disappointing weekend.
Well, the one thing in the NBA that we know right now is anytime you think the NBA, you know the NBA. I mean, for me, NBA stands for no betting allowed
Right?
at this point, because who the heck knows? The one thing I do know is if I saw another stat today, if you had bet $100 on every single underdog in the NBA this season, coming into today, you'd be up $4,300.
Well, an underdog did not come home there. We mentioned the Lakers game. Underdog does not come home there. And one thing I want to do on the nightcap, people love player props, and I'm certain at U.S. Integrity you're keeping eyes on everything that's coming through, and player props aplenty, and a lot of unders on the big names. LeBron James over under 26.5 at DraftKings earlier today. He does not get there. I think he finished with 21. Matt Trae Young 25 points. Under 25.5, so back-to-back unders in that Lakers-Hawk game, which went under the total of 219, 107-99. Giannis, you would think in a 134-106 win, I just look at the box score, I'm good. No, Giannis actually finished this game with 18 points, and his total was 29.5. His points, rebounds, and assists was 48.5. He didn't get anywhere close. 4 rebounds, 6 assists. It was a really an effort all across the board. Bobby Portis ends up with 21 for the Milwaukee Bucks. Damian Lillard, he finishes well under his total after being really red hot with C.J. McCollum on the bench. Just 17 points, a minus 32 for Damian Lillard. So a 134-106 Portland Trailblazers win. But I'm with you, Matt. I really don't bet the NBA all that much. I leave that to JVT, and if JVT says, hey, you should bet this, I say, okay, yeah, maybe I'll look into that.
Yeah, that's probably a good strategy.
So, yeah, that's one thing we'll be keeping. Obviously, we have the Super Bowl coming up this week, Matt, and we'll be looking at props aplenty. We've got a massive trade in the NFL over the weekend. Matthew Stafford, he is going to the Los Angeles Rams in a blockbuster deal where Jared Goff is going to the Detroit Lions. We will talk to Jeff Benson here from Circa Sports. We hope to have an odds maker on. And once again, that's another thing that I think we're excited about with this show, Matt, is looking ahead to tomorrow, why they set the lines the way that they are. And I know, you've been in town for quite some time. And it takes some guts to be the first one out there setting lines, and that's what Circa does. They're not the only ones. Look, other people in town obviously set lines before them, but they put out their college hoops plays early in the afternoon the day before, and especially in these COVID times. We got the news today that Florida or Boston College might be playing with 4 scholarship players tomorrow.
Their game got postponed.
It did get postponed. Good.
So Florida State's next 3 games just got postponed.
Wow.
At Boston College, at Pitt, and at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but Florida State's one of those teams too. Tons of athleticism, and Florida State. It's tough. They've never made it to a Final Four with Leonard Hamilton, but they've always got that talent. And if they're low on the seed line, I remember more than a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, they were a 7 seed against 2-seeded Notre Dame, and they ran them out of the gym. I mean, there have been times where they seem to be they get it clicking. But yeah, it's been fascinating to keep an eye on. It's not an auto fade if a team's coming off these COVID breaks. I think a lot of people assume, okay, we're just going to automatically fade this team because they're coming off the 2-week COVID break or 3-week COVID break. And this just really hasn't been. There's really been no rhyme or reason to college basketball coming off the COVID break.
Complete roller coaster. For a while, they were red hot coming off the break. And now the past week, they've been ice cold. Look at Michigan State. I mean, 37 points off the couch. So it really has been a complete roller coaster, and trying to diagnose it or handicap it in any way, there's certainly, I think you put it right, there's just been no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, looking over the weekend, there were 3 teams on Saturday that were coming off of extended COVID breaks, and I believe they went 2-1 against the spread.
Yep.
So it really is just hit or miss. There's no such thing. I know everyone always wants to know, is there a blind way to look into a play, and there's really no luck to it. So it has been an interesting way to go about it. A couple finals once again. Lakers taking care of business and getting the cover, 107-99. The under hits in that. LeBron James, 21 points, 7 rebounds. He does go over on his assist prop, which is always it feels more often than not, Matt, you're going to play an over for LeBron, his over assists is usually a good one to go, especially last year. He ended up, leading the NBA in assists. He has 9 assists tonight. Trae Young had 16 assists tonight.
Wow.
So he goes well over his assist total for the evening.
And look, no more importance tonight than LeBron making that pair of free throws at the end to get the cover for everybody. In a weird set of events, they miss a shot, get a lucky offensive rebound that was sort of a 50-50 ball. LeBron sort of a little clunky with the dribble there, gets the foul call and buries them both to get the cover for all the Laker backers tonight.
I saw a lot of people today like the under in the Rockets-Thunder game. And the Rockets continue to roll. This has been fascinating. Since the trade of James Harden, they were statistically the best defensive team in the NBA, Matt. And they are now 5-1 ATS after tonight's triumph over the Thunder since in their last 6 games.
And it wasn't close tonight. I mean, they just ran them out. Yeah,
out of the jump, led 48-24.
Broke the record, right, for most three-pointers ever made in the first quarter of an NBA game?
They finished with 28 threes tonight.
Wow.
DeMarcus Cousins off the bench had 5 threes. Eric Gordon had 5 threes. Daniel House had 4 threes. That's all coming off the bench for the Rockets tonight. John Wall finished with 4 threes. It was an unbelievable outpouring from the Houston Rockets, who seem to have found something here. And just looking at point totals, I know a lot of people love Christian Wood under his point total. So you look at these point scores, and the bench is the one. Eric Gordon had 25 off the bench, so Christian Wood goes under his total of 22.5. Victor Oladipo, his total was sitting there at 20.5. That goes under. He finishes with 18. John Wall, you would think, okay, well, 136 points facilitating, 5 assists. His total was sitting there at 6.5. So the Rockets, if you got cute and played the props, it didn't really work out all that well. But they get the win. They win by 30. The over hits, and obviously the Rockets cruise to a victory. And this is, the Rockets sometimes subtraction is a positive, and it feels like in this case, getting rid of James Harden and they, John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, a lot of these guys on the Rockets,
and a fresh start for some of those guys.
And they called out James Harden. They were just sick and tired of the questions. It seemed like his lack of effort, and it feels like this was the best thing that could have happened to the Houston Rockets.
Absolutely, and tonight's performance, again, to your point, it wasn't even close.
No.
I mean, 11 for 14 from three-point range in the first quarter. And from there, it was never in doubt. It was over. Talking about player props tonight, one of my analysts, his favorite plays of the night, it just got home. Give him a little shout-out.
There we go.
Julius Randle, red hot lately for the Knicks. Having another big game tonight. I think he already has a double-double for sure. That game going on, I think he's already over his point total tonight. Julius Randle playing some good ball for the New York Knickerbockers.
He really has been. 23 points tonight, 11 boards, 7 assists for Julius Randle, and that's a game we'll keep an eye on. No skin in the game for me, but that game went off, Matt, with the Bulls laying 3.5. It's 103-100, so a sweat there. And I did see a stat earlier today that, historically, I think Tom Thibodeau against the Chicago Bulls was 5-1 ATS, somewhere in that ballpark. So the Thibodeau revenge tonight with the Bulls hosting the Knicks. The Knicks have been a fun team to keep an eye on this year. They've been covering at a pretty impressive rate. I know a game that you liked, and we'll keep an eye on this. Just starting the fourth quarter, the Mavericks are fully healthy tonight, Matt.
First time in 425 days
Wow.
the Dallas Mavericks didn't have a player on the injury report.
That is unbelievable.
Yep.
And they are leading 82-79 over the Phoenix Suns. Dallas at home, and that was a game Dallas went off as a 2-point favorite. I believe that opened 1.5. So a little nod toward the home court there, and the Mavericks with a slight lead. Luka Doncic, 21 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Triple-double. He was the shortest odds I saw out there. Just plus 225. Think about that. To record a triple-double, just plus 225 for Luka Doncic.
I mean, in 5 years, that would have been just any player get a triple-double would have been plus 700.
Right.
Now the idea that one individual player could be plus 225 is amazing.
Yeah, I looked it up. So today, Luka Doncic, plus 225. This was at DraftKings earlier today. Nikola Jokic was plus 365, and LeBron was plus 525. No, LeBron did not get home, and the Detroit and Denver game got postponed due to COVID reasons. So the only one who has a chance is Luka Doncic. But yeah, what a short price for a triple-double, but he does it so often.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people feel, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and fire on Doncic to get a triple-double.
And that Russell Westbrook season a couple of years ago where he averaged one just completely changed the game. Since then, it really has become a nightly event that we see these triple-doubles.
Well, it is Super Bowl week, Matt, and we have obviously a ton to get to when it comes to the prop market, which we will hit on as the show goes on today and all throughout the week. But coming up when we come back are the LA Rams, after a blockbuster trade, now legitimate Super Bowl candidates. Is it time to go ahead and fire on the Rams to win the NFC? Or, Matt, was it just too late? Did you miss the boat on the LA Rams? We're up and running. Yeah, that's right. Nighttime programming on VSiN. It's the Nightcap right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome into all our new viewers. It is the Nightcap here on VSiN, and now that you're here, take a minute to start your free trial of an all-access VSiN subscription. March Madness is right around the corner, and the football betting season keeps on going after the big game with free agency, the quarterback carousel, which we're going to hit on here in just a moment, and the NFL draft. And, of course, our experts are handicapping games in every sport every day, so you have an edge all year round. VSiN gives you everything you need to improve your sports betting IQ with daily insights and analysis. So sign up now to get your daily emails with the best bets from our hosts and guests, 24/7 video streaming, and our point spread weekly betting guides. Check out all our memberships options starting at only $3.99 per month. VSiN.com/subscribe to start your free trial today. Super Bowl coming up in just a handful of days. Super Bowl 55, and all week long, Matt and I will be looking at some prop bets and giving obviously our thoughts on when we're gonna be placing some action on the Super Bowl. And the Matthew Stafford deal, I want to get to here in just a moment, but let's quickly run down some of the big notable scores and one game that you and I are keeping an eye on, because it's never easy, Matt.
No.
Never easy. There's always a leg that's stubborn, and that's why I'm always believing that parlays are for suckers. And you know what? Those sports books, they're happy about your parlays coming in. They say, yeah, why don't you make it a 6-leg parlay? Why don't you make it a 7-leg parlay? Yeah, you get those increased odds. But Oklahoma and Texas Tech, it's really a hell of a game right now, Matt.
They're so gritty, Oklahoma, this year.
Yeah.
This team is just so gritty. I mean, they defend every shot you take. They make it so hard. They rebound every basketball. And Manic's having one of those nights again, right, where he's just a disruptive force on the defensive end, and they're making shots on offense, although neither team's making many shots.
Yeah, this was one of those games. I know someone you work with, one of your analysts, loved the under in this spot. 135 is what it went off at. If you played that, you're feeling rather comfortable, just hoping no trip. I mean, honestly, I don't want to jinx anybody. I don't want to mush anybody that may have the under here, because overtime, we know, is not great for underdogs and unders. But right now, if you have an under ticket, you're feeling decent. 33-33 with the under 12 media timeout. But Oklahoma here on a little bit of a run. And the Sooners, Manic coming off the bench, 11 points, 5 rebounds already for the Sooners. Mac McClung, who has been red hot coming into this game, 24.5 points per game in his last 4, Matt. He was 13 of 28 from 3. He has 0 points.
Wow.
0 points right now. So he's 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point. Lon Kruger's squad, and this is actually a battle of former UNLV coaches, albeit Chris Beard was here
1 week.
Yeah, 1 week, yeah. He was here as long as some vacationers when it comes to his time in Las Vegas. But, I've been, it's funny. On Friday, I loved Oklahoma. They were laying a short number against Alabama. I felt like Alabama against Kentucky earlier in the week. I thought they were a bit sluggish, Matt. And then we get the COVID news. Austin Reeves is out and Alondis Williams is out, and that's what this whole season is. Not just college football, NFL, etc. And I got off the bet. I bet the other side, then I went back in. So. And good for Oklahoma. I mean, you've mentioned it a couple times. I mean, that was as gritty and impressive as a win as I've seen this year. Beat Alabama, had won 10 straight. Your best player. I mean, Austin Reeves really means almost everything to Oklahoma, and they were able to win without him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He is so good, the heart and soul of that team. They go on and win arguably the toughest game of the year without him.
And the defense continues to show, and it's 33-all here with 10:52.
Your new in-play total, 109.5. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and I would, the way this is going, 66-all, I guess you just have to be worried about overtime.
Yeah.
They just flashed up Oklahoma 3 of 16 from 3, and Texas Tech just 3 of 9. A ton of finals in the NBA. Cleveland wins over Minnesota 100-98, but does not cover the 3.5. Under is an easy winner there. We mentioned the Lakers already coming home as a 7-point favorite, winning by 8. The Bucks just hammered the Portland Trailblazers. Over hits 235, and the 10 is covered with ease for the Bucks, 134-106. A good one going on in Dallas, 92-90. Phoenix right now back in the lead over the Mavericks. It is the nightcap. Stick around. We got a lot to get into, including the Rams. Is it time to bet, or did you miss out? Stick around right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. It is the nightcap. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice nightcap if you're back on the East Coast. Hey, if you're here on the West Coast, I'm still not used to it. I'm an East Coast guy, lived on the East Coast my entire life. So I'm still not used to games, Matt, starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is.
I love it.
If I didn't have a kid, and I love my son to death, but if I didn't have a kid and I could just sit back at 4 and watch games, I would be much happier. But, you know, he doesn't really want to sit down with dad and watch football or basketball for 3.5 hours before bedtime.
Yeah, I totally get that part. My kids are starting to get older, and that helps, so they're kind of getting into more sports themselves. But I mean, I grew up in Boston, so the same thing. My whole life, I grew up on the East Coast, and it took me a while to get used to it. But now I love it because I can watch every single game of the night. They all end. I'm in bed at 11 o'clock.
That has been very enjoyable. And I did morning radio back east for about 5 or 6 years. And, you'd be faking a lot of things in the morning. And that kills me. And my wife used to get on me for staying up too late, and I'd be dragging in the morning because I got to watch these games.
Yep.
If you're a morning show host on the West Coast, you're made.
That's it.
Now Mitch and Paul have to get up at like 3 a.m. So it's a little, they have a little East Coast feel here on the West Coast. But yeah, it is nice to be able to watch all those games and get into bed, and that's what we're doing. We're recapping the games and a little in-game live feel like with what Gil and Matt do, and recapping and looking at some of the best bets. And this Dallas-Phoenix game, 97 all right now,
awesome.
Under 5 minutes again. This has been a heck of a game. And Luka, Chris Paul, we were watching him. Chris Paul is having a remarkable game tonight. He's got 32 points on 13 of 16 from the field. He's 8 boards, 8 assists. He's got a handful of turnovers, but still, Chris Paul has been playing exceptionally well. And I know Devin Booker was questionable heading in. He has played. He's got 16 points. But this has been a really fun game to watch. And another game you and I are keeping a very close eye on, Texas Tech and Oklahoma. You and I, big college hoop guys. And we'll be talking some college hoops here with Jeff Benson in just a moment when he comes in studio to talk about the odds. But Texas Tech now a 4-point lead with about 8 and change to go.
5.5-point favorite in play now, the Red Raiders. The whopping total of 107.5.
Keeps going down. It just keeps going down. Well, over the weekend, it's one of those things when you get a text from a buddy and it doesn't tell you what happened. It's just like, oh, my God. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that could be so many things.
Yes.
And I find out Matthew Stafford gets shipped to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick this year. It's been funny. I've been thinking about this, and we'll get to the odds here in just a moment, Matt. But I've been thinking about this move. And I don't hate the play by the Los Angeles Rams. I understand the move. You want to upgrade a quarterback. You want to win now. You felt like the quarterback play was keeping you back. The biggest worry and why I wouldn't fire away on the Rams, Matt, is they have no depth. This year, They were very fortunate on the health front. Aaron Donald was healthy all season up until that Packers game, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The entire defensive line missed 1 game.
Wow.
1 game this year. The secondary was relatively healthy, and they lose Brandon Staley. He becomes the defense coordinator for the Chargers. Leonard Floyd's going to leave in free agency. He had 10.5 sacks. They have no money to go out in free agency. Andrew Whitworth's coming back at the left side, but, he's 39 years old. How effective?
Coming off injuries again.
Right. So, I love Cam Akers, and they started to incorporate him much more. So I understand the move, Matt, but I don't think it's time to fire. And let's look at some of these odds, when it comes to the futures board. Rams Super Bowl odds go from 20-1 to 11-1 at DraftKings. To win the AFC, from 9-1 down to 11-2. So have you missed the boat on the Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah, I think you have, because I actually don't think there's much value there left. And there's so many good quarterbacks still. You still have to deal with Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. In your own division, you have to deal with Kyler Murray at Arizona, Russell Wilson at Seattle. That division's loaded. We have to assume.
In San Francisco, Matt,
right.
It may not be done. There's rumors about Kirk Cousins, which I know people won't get excited about, but I think that's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. And who knows? Maybe they go get Deshaun Watson. I doubt it, but there's a chance, an outside chance, that Matthew Stafford is the worst quarterback in that division.
Agreed.
And
no matter what San Francisco does, their preseason win total is still going to be 8. There's not going to be a team in that conference with a season win total under 8.
Right.
So that's going to be an ultra competitive division. And the Rams caught a couple of breaks too during the season. I feel like maybe the defense that played so good this year, how can they be any better than they were this year? I'm with you. I'm looking to fade the Rams. And I'm definitely looking in other directions.
Yeah, and once again, I like the move. I applaud the, they clearly wanted to get off that Jared Goff contract. And look, this is an organization that I think Michael Lombardi. I forget the exact quote he had, but basically they only have themselves to blame. They will not have a first round pick from 2017 through 2023, barring trades to get back in there in the next couple of years. They don't have a pick this year because of Jalen Ramsey. They have 2 picks to get him. They traded out a couple years ago to acquire more picks, and then the Jared Goff deal. They moved up and gave away 2 future picks for Jared Goff. So I applaud. Sean McVay clearly says, "Give me a quarterback, and we're going to go win." And the win now mentality. But when it comes to quarterback trades, I think this offseason is going to be wild.
Yes,
and there's a ton.
We just got started.
Right. We have a ton of talent in the draft.
Yep.
We have Deshaun Watson disgruntled. Kirk Cousins potentially could be on the move.
Jimmy
Garoppolo could be on the move. It's going to be and there's a ton of teams that need quarterbacks, but you have a pretty good idea, and I think the books are onto it a little bit as well. But you look at one team out there, you think there could be some value right now in the futures market.
Yeah, I think it's the Miami Dolphins. And I think when we talk about, futures at this time of the year, a little bit is predicting who may go where. Just think at 30-1 right now, if you play the Miami Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, they have the most draft equity, and Deshaun Watson wants to go there. So assuming because they have the most to offer, the Houston Texans, that they are the favorite to get Deshaun Watson, if they go ahead and get Deshaun Watson, just like the Rams did when they got Matthew Stafford, those odds are going to drop in half. They're going to fall off a cliff, and Miami will become like second or third choice in the AFC. And I think you could turn around and sell those tickets on PropSwap.
There you go. Get in early, and we'll see if Deshaun Watson ends up going. I got some heat from my hometown over the weekend. I said trade Chase Young now. Trade him now and get Deshaun Watson. And you have to give him multiple picks. I said do it. Do it right now. Texas Tech, a 2-point lead. Will get you updated on all the games. And Jeff Benson in studio next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Nightcap on VSiN. welcome in to all of our new viewers. Yeah, live programming late in the evenings. You better get used to it. And while you're here, just take a minute to get yourself a free trial of an all-access VSiN subscription. March Madness, as you know, right around the corner. The football betting season keeps on going after the big game with free agency, the quarterback carousel, which we just hit on, Matthew Stafford, and the NFL draft. And, of course, our experts are handicapping games in every sport every day, so you have an edge all year round. VSiN gives you everything you need to improve your sports betting IQ with daily insights and analysis. So sign up now to get our daily emails with best bets from our hosts and guests, 24/7 video streaming, and our point spread weekly betting guides. Check out our membership options starting at $3.99 a month. VSiN.com/subscribe to start your free trial today. It is the Nightcap. Tim Murray, Matt Holt, and our first ever guest on the program walked. Where's the risk room? Is it? It's across the street or
across the street?
Made the long trek. Man, he made the long trek in. Jeff Benson has trekked all the way, braving the elements.
Absolutely.
It's like 16 inches of snow back where Matt used to live in Boston. I think 6 inches of snow in D.C. or so, and people are losing their minds. We had some flurries here, so that was something.
I grew up in Virginia, not quite the nor'easter out here. So.
So much to get to when it comes to the Super Bowl. Real quickly, 106-106, Phoenix and Dallas. Heck of a game.
Big controversial call here because Phoenix just drilled a shot to tie it, and the refs are trying to see if the foul they called on Phoenix happened before the shot or not. If it did, Dallas will have the ball up 2 with 54 seconds. So big change of events here in a game that has been, I mean, this game has just been so good the entire way.
And Texas Tech with a 4-point lead with 5.5 minutes to go in the second half, something Matt and I both will be sweating out as we go. But Jeff, let's just start with the total and the side here for the Super Bowl. What have you guys seen on the total and the side to this point?
Yeah, we opened 3. Did eventually move to 3.5, but we're currently sitting at Chiefs 3 -20. I'd anticipate as we go into the game that we'll certainly need the Chiefs to win, but the Buccaneers to cover. Kind of similar to what you see in most of these Super Bowls, in which you'll get a deflated price on the favorite, and then obviously taking the points with the dog. When you look at the total, we took an early bet under 56.5, and I think if you look around the market here in town, I believe we're the only 56 on the board.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting there. There's been one of the bets I've heard about on that we were talking about side in total is the first half under. A lot of under 27.5 seems to be that sharp side first half. Have you guys seen that as well?
Yeah, not a ton of play on the first half. Obviously, a long way to go before game time. But obviously, in a game like this, you probably see the public siding with the over, and then obviously the wise guys taking back the under as we get closer to post.
Yeah, it looks like almost every place in town is at 27.5. Did you guys open 28 or 27.5 for the first half?
I believe we were 27.
27.5.
Because we took a quick bet on under 56.5, and like I said, we've been sitting at 56 here for a while.
I thought we might get a little more under 27.5 because that narrative of Tom Brady 9 Super Bowls, 3 total points in the first quarter, that's really out there. I mean, that's pretty public information, along with the fact that I think if you took the last 10 Super Bowls, the first half average is about 20.5 points, the second half like 26.5. So, I mean, that's really recency bias. But
if you add in the fact that, the Chiefs defer a lot, and the Buccaneers have elected to receive the ball, that could certainly be in your favor as well.
Sure. Yeah, and that's I was actually thinking about that driving in today about, under 27.5, and then you think about, you just think about what we saw last weekend, right? And now you've got Eric Fisher out. We know Mitchell Schwartz is out. But second half, the Packers started to figure out that pass rush. So I'm curious if the Buccaneers will be able to get home maybe a little bit more, put a little more pressure on Mahomes early. They figure it out. So I think under 27.5 is an intriguing play in the first half.
Yeah, and obviously, Super Bowl jitters, things like that. I mean, obviously, you got 2 quarterbacks who've been there before, but certainly maybe, playing a little bit more conservative in the first half. I saw a prop around town at one shop, more points in the second half as opposed to the first half, and it was only minus 110 when, I think
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think the true price is, probably closer to minus 150, 160.
Yeah,
so,
wow. I'm really surprised that that's a 110 on a situation like just because the math simply says the last 10 years you almost get a full touchdown more in the second half of these games.
Correct.
Wow.
When it comes to the props, I know you've been locked away working on these props. What the octopus was getting a lot of play.
I love the octopus.
Yeah, have you seen some? I mean, I know Patrick Everson laid a big $20 on the octopus. And look, I don't say how much I bet on things. That is your business, and Patrick makes it known. It's just Chili's money, which I love. He owns it, but I don't know if the $20 moved it. He was on the yes prop for the octopus, but that's an intriguing.
Like what, 12-1?
11-1?
Was it
11-1.
Yeah,
we opened the yes at 11-1. The take back on the no side was minus $18.
Are you guys gonna keep that after? Because I love the name. First of all, I'd never seen it called the octopus before.
Yeah,
and
shout
now
out.
I feel like it's great.
Yeah, shout out to Mitch Goldrich. He had reached out to us on Twitter, inquiring about it. It was actually, Jeff Davis put it up for him at Caesars.
Okay.
Now that Jeff Davis is over here, he's our assistant sportsbook manager. He helps run our risk room. He actually helped to price it. And the guy Mitch had reached out to us on Twitter, so we thought it was a fun, cool offering, and we wanted to put it up. And like I said, certainly seen a little bit of that money on the yes side here, but it'll be interesting to see if we take a big no bet.
So just so people know, is it the touchdown and then the following 2-point convert? So if Tyreek Hill scores a touchdown in the first and gets a 2-point conversion in the fourth, that is
so
not
basically,
it has to be touchdown and then the following.
Great point. So basically, it's called the octopus, and basically what has to happen is on one successive drive, the individual would need to score a touchdown and then the ensuing 2-point conversion for the yes to cash.
I would offer it every game.
That's great.
The octopus. I feel like just people love it.
It's a unique thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What about what is your price on will there be a 2-point conversion? I know this has become one.
I believe the yes was minus 280. A successful 2-point conversion. I believe the no was minus 280 and the yes was plus 240. So big shout out to our sportsbook manager, Chris Bennett. He did basically the entirety of our prop menu. He's been working hard for the last 3, 4, 5 days to put up everything. So we're certainly looking forward to what we've had to offer. We may not have as an expansive menu as maybe some of the other places, but by the time we get to game time on our 2-sided props, we'll be taking in the neighborhood of 10,000 either way.
Great,
Matt. When it comes to overall handle, as the years go on, Jeff, it feels like the prop handle, is it inching closer to a 50-50 split here? I know in different shops, some people say it is close to 50-50. What do you anticipate for the prop handle as opposed to side and total?
Yeah, I would say certainly the allocation you've seen in recent years with the prop menu kind of exploding nationwide. Is certainly more of that 50-50 realm, So, like I said, when people come out, they're probably going to allocate 50% of their money on, who they think's going to win the game, and then obviously, play some of these fun props or long shots. Whether it's the MVP pool, our Circa Squares pool, which we're doing for a second year now, or just some of these, interesting ones that are maybe a little bit more difficult to price, like the octopus prop.
I always found that, look, when it comes to props, we call them like the needle in a haystack props with the longest odds in the world. Basically, I said, no matter what prop you put up this week, someone will bet it. You will get some bets on it. Like you could have coin toss be a 3-way, heads, tails, and will the coin sprout wings and fly away at 10,000 to 1, and somebody will throw $20 on the 10,000 to 1. Literally any prop you put out. Don't you think every prop will get bets?
100%.
Yeah.
All of them will get right. Certainly some not as much as others, but we put up Chiefs exact points, and we list 0 through 60 points. And there was somebody who came in right away, and they bet $100 on the Chiefs not to score any points at 500 to 1. So yeah, certainly.
You said, thank you, sir, for your $100 donation to the Circus Sportsbook. Jeff Benson joining us in studio. Everybody I think has at one point in time been in a squares pool, whether it was with your neighborhood friends or in college. It was a hit last year.
Absolutely. It was something that, Derek really pushed us to do. We wanted to be creative, innovative, kind of push the boundary. So as opposed to maybe a traditional square pool, where there's a lot of randomness in it, and you can't really choose the squares you want. What we do is we do squares for the first, second, third, and then obviously the fourth quarter as well, which is the final score. It'll be 100 data points in each quarter. And what we do is we go ahead and, based on, probabilities and game scores, for the last X amount of years, Chris will go in there and put the probability and prices based on that. So if you want to come in and you think it's going to be a low scoring first quarter and you want to bet, 0-0 or 3-0 or 7-0, things like that, you have the ability to choose your own squares based on the prices we set at fixed odds. So certainly provides people, a different way to play things.
Have you seen Matt brought it up, and it's been talked about quite a bit. Have you seen a lot of action on Bucks 0 and Chiefs 3 or Chiefs 7? I think I see 7-0 Chiefs would be plus 475. 3-0 Chiefs plus 720, scoreless plus 450 because of this trend that Tom Brady does not score in the first quarter of Super Bowls?
The trend so far has obviously been a lot of these long shots. So,
yeah.
A lot of these 2s, 4s, 9s. So, having a missed extra point or a safety here in the first quarter, certainly going to be a little bit of a sweat on our end, obviously to avoid some of those landmines. Obviously, you look at it last year and it was pretty benign, in terms of 0-0, 3-3, things like that. So, the long shots didn't really cash last year, but, certainly a fun way to play it this year if you don't want to play the traditional squares.
And, Jeff, before we let you on, any other sharp action just real quickly to hit on?
Yeah, a couple of props that were interesting to note that we took some early action on. Been all over on Mahomes rushing yards. Chris and myself, we were a little bit lower than the market. We opened 15.5 there. When I left the office, we were at 20.5. Evans receptions under. They played Mecole Hardman under every which way possible. The total number of players to throw a pass attempt was 2.5. We opened a little bit higher than the market. They bet the over there.
All right, Jeff, there it is. It is the Nightcap on VSiN. can't be a first show without a little sweat. And that's going to be, I think, a common theme on this show. Sometimes you just have outright losers, like Blazers under 112.5. Or you have to sweat things out, like Texas Tech in a money line parlay. And that's what both Matt and I have going on right now as we speak. So we've got Texas Tech with the ball in their hands against Oklahoma. They went off as 7.5-point favorites. And right now, this game coming down to the wire, 54-52. It's the final game on the college basketball board today. I do want to bring up one game, maybe a little bit later. Maybe this isn't the best way to start an hour, but Mississippi Valley State, folks. There are 357 teams in college basketball. They are 357th in offensive efficiency, 357th in defensive efficiency.
They covered tonight.
They did cover. They were getting 25.5 at Grambling, and the Delta Devils, the pride of Jerry Rice, only lost by 13. So props to Mississippi Valley State. Easy cover. You took the points with the Delta Devils, and you never had to sweat. But me and Matt are sweating quite a bit.
Oh, man.
54-52 right now. Texas Tech, 17.6 seconds to go in this game. If you had Oklahoma in the points, Matt, you're just hoping no overtime.
Yes.
Stay away from overtime.
And there was a gap with about 4 minutes to go where Texas Tech got up 10.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma came right back down and cut it in. If you got the lowest totals over 107.5, then you look pretty good. Is there at 106 with Texas Tech about to shoot free throws? Any other over, I think you're probably smoked.
Yeah, you were saying, I think early in the second half, it was 110 was the total?
107.5 was the lowest number I saw. Yeah.
And that pending free throws right here, that should get over. So you could have, if you were in on the game pre-flop, you're golden right now. Assuming no overtime, once again. This is a mush-free zone, not trying to, get in on people with their totals, but 135.5. First free throw up and good for the Red Raiders, so 55-52. A couple other interesting notes from college hoops. We're going to talk some NFL here in a little bit. George Shahuri from Pro Football Focus, one of my favorite guests. I know he's got some prop plays he likes, and just thoughts on the game, thoughts on the Matt Stafford trade. He's broken it all down, and we'll get him in here in just a moment as another free throw is good.
Ice water there.
A little breath here for us with Texas Tech as these final seconds close down. Step back three is up and back rim, and we're feeling good. Texas Tech's going to come home with a victory here, and moneyline parlay for me comes home, thankfully. It makes up for the Blazers team total under, which was not a win. But the other two pairs I had in this moneyline parlay took a pretty sure thing with Drake, who covered yet again. The Drake, if blind betting, I don't really ever. I'm sure you're not a big fan of just saying, just blindly bet something. But if you just have blindly bet Drake this year, you are now 14-1.
With that one coming against the same team
yesterday.
Yep.
In overtime. They beat Illinois State. They came back today, and the Drake Bulldogs covered the 19, beating Illinois State by 35.
Wow.
So it's that zigzag theory we will talk about quite a bit. College basketball is really fascinating with the zigzag. The zigzag did not work for Missouri State. If you took the points with Missouri State yesterday, and then you took it again today, well, you lost 2 straight days because Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers, the Fighting Sister Jeans, win by 20 today. And I tell you what, I think that matchup's coming in a couple weeks. It was initially scheduled a couple weeks back, and the buzz for the MVC with Loyola and Drake now, both really tremendous teams. In Loyola is also a money-making machine. 12-3-1 ATS this year.
Another big one today on that back-to-back was Bradley, who they opened as an underdog yesterday, bet him up to -2. Indiana State gets the win as a closing as a home underdog. Same thing today. Indiana State opens 1. They bet Bradley up to -3 on the road. Indiana State gets it done at home again, second straight day. That was a good one for the books.
It was. Indiana State wins that game by 12. A lot more to get to. We'll get you all updated on the NBA action, the Lakers coming home and covering, but we got NFL action right now. We started the show. I wasn't too thrilled. The Blazers were falling apart. One bet doesn't come home, but we gave a little fist bump here in between. Texas Tech comes home. If you had Oklahoma plus the points, you are a winner. But Texas Tech, both Matt and I had it in a money line parlay. For me, Drake Loyola, Texas Tech. I'm just a nearsighted person, Matt. I just look at today and today only. You've got a 10-day money line parlay situation still alive. And I believe one leg remaining?
One leg. First half under in the Super Bowl, under 27.5. 25 to win 4,000.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
So one leg bet left, and maybe I'll join you in solidarity. I like that play, under 27.5, and maybe that's where we'll start with our next guest. He is from Pro Football Focus, George Shahuri. I say it fast because I mess it up every single time, George. Appreciate you jumping on, brother. I know it's late back east, and appreciate you being on the first ever The Nightcap here, man.
I'm honored. Look, I'm a night owl. I love doing this stuff late at nights when my best thoughts come out. The only problem is that I don't have the natural light here, so I'm doing the best I can. But this is awesome, man. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and I was listening to your pod earlier today with Eric Eager. Big fan of him. I think Eric was on the network a couple hours ago. It's the Pro Football Focus network here at VSiN. But George, there's so much to get to when it comes to the Super Bowl. Thoughts on Stafford, but I want to actually start with the bet Matt has here on a final leg of a money line parlay, and I'm thinking about jumping on this too. Over under for the first half is 27.5 for Sunday. I know you know the trends. Everyone out there, Tom Brady in his 9 Super Bowls, just 3 points in the first quarter altogether. 27.5. Is that an underplay you like?
I can get on board with it. Here's what I'll say. I am playing the over in the game at 56 is where I got it, and I like that. But what I really also like are the third and fourth quarter overs. So I think that jives with what you guys are talking about, which is potentially a little bit slower start to the game. The Bucks. Here's why I would, if you like that bet, here's why you like it. The Bucks are going to come out and run the ball. Bruce Arians told everyone that today. His favorite thing is to come out in 22 and run Leonard Fournette up the middle, and that's not conducive to scoring. So I can get behind that. I think third and fourth quarter is where the scoring opens up. So I think the third quarter is like 10.5, and then the fourth quarter is 14.5. I like over in both of those, and I guess that works. I can get you the money, and I can get some money as well with those two bets.
I like that for both of our sides. And I agree. And I think if you look historically in the last 10 years, the second half of Super Bowls tend to have almost a full touchdown, points scored more than the first half. So we've seen that slower starts in Super Bowls of late the last few years, with the second half really starting to pick up. A lot of it has to do with the scripted plays, trying to make sure they ease both teams into it.
Oh, did we lose George?
Did we lose George?
All right, so we'll try to reconnect here with George here in just a little bit.
Yeah, I can.
Oh,
you guys are chopping up every once in a while, but the grit, I have the fortitude to persist. So I'm doing everything I can.
You know what?
I'm trying to put together little chunks of words here.
You're powering through, George. We appreciate that. I want to get to a couple props that I heard you talk about, and hopefully you could pick up on some key words that we're sending to you. I know you like Travis Kelce and the touchdown props, first touchdown, total touchdowns. You're all in on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill obviously destroyed the Bucks in Week 12. I mean, had over 130 yards in the first quarter of the game. Over the course of the game, I mean, it was a continual bashing of Carlton Davis. And so for that reason, I expect that the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And right, they should, right? But that leaves the game's best tight end, who's having his best year ever, Travis Kelce, is going to kind of dominate in the middle of the field. And Levante David is fantastic. He's one of the best linebackers consistently year in and year out has been a top 5 graded guy for us. But that is not the same. The same is not true for everyone else in the middle of. Travis Kelce is a guy that has maybe the biggest mismatch on the field when he is out there because teams just do not know how to play him. And you talked about some scripted plays. When you get down in that low red zone, I would expect Andy Reid to have some funkiness. And that means Travis Kelce getting involved. You could see him with a rushing touchdown, little scoop shots that has been a while. I love him.
All right, George. I think we're going to try to get
6-1.
you to reconnected here. He mentioned grit and determination. Look, it's 11 o'clock back east, and we appreciate the grit and determination. We'll see if we can reconnect with George on a little bit more of a stable line there. I know Travis Kelce is going to be a guy that plenty of people are going to look at his props, and we're going to dive into those props a little bit later on, Matt, in the show and all throughout the week. But yeah, that is one that intrigues me. But look, it comes with a price. If you're going anytime touchdown with Travis Kelce, you got to lay $1.75. I mean, that's quite a hefty price. I mean, that's almost Devontae Adams type prices during the regular season when he scored 18 touchdowns in the regular season. So if you like Travis Kelce to score a touchdown, is $1.75 too steep a price to pay?
It's steep, that's for sure. To your point, I mean, it's likely to happen, but again, it's in the prices. I mean, it's been built into these prices at this point. You are going to lay the peak of the mountain prices with Travis Kelce here. It's no secret the sharps like him, and his numbers across the board are you're not getting a discount, I don't think, across the board with any of the Travis Kelce props.
Yeah, let's bring George Shahuri back in. We have reconnected, and like we said, George, we appreciate your grit and determination at 11 o'clock back east. I just want to continue a little bit on the Travis Kelce train here because, look, I'm with you. I absolutely can see him scoring. And looking at DraftKings right now, we were just talking about it. You have to lay $1.75 for him to score. It's plus 600 for him to score the first touchdown. To score and win, plus 120. So what would be your game plan when it comes to Travis Kelce props at maybe a juicier price?
Yeah, look, he's the best tight end in the NFL, and that is certainly priced into this. I completely agree. I think, looking at our projections here, Travis Kelce to score the first touchdown, we have at about 24% chance, whereas your break even there plus 600 is just 14%. So we like that one quite a bit. Our props tool on PFF.com has a ton of the Super Bowl props in there that you don't normally see every week. And I think a lot of it has to do with how good the Chiefs have been on scripted plays, how good Andy Reid is coming off the bye, how there's evidence mathematically that he actually steps his game up when he plays against better teams. This is certainly a situation where you expect that to happen. So that's probably the one, if I'm looking obviously for a little bit of a nicer payout, it's 6-1, the anytime touchdown. Yeah, I don't in general like betting props with a large minus price because it's just not nearly as fun. You're looking for the ones like Tom Brady rushing yards or overpassing touchdowns where you can get a little bit more of a plus price. So I think I'm going to go Kelce first touchdown score. That'll probably be my Kelce prop of the evening for Super Bowl 55.
And that's probably a way to get a little bit of discount on that anytime score, to George's point. Because laying juice, again, that's not fun. They certainly hurt more when you lose laying 2-1.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to last weekend. It wasn't going well for my Packers bet, but Robert Tonyan getting that touchdown made it a little easier to settle the loss there at plus 170. For that to come home.
One of the things that jumped out to me that Jeff said earlier, and maybe, George, you could speak to this about what you think. I think we hit it a little bit earlier with the first half under, is he said that he saw the prop, which half will have more points scored, the first half or the second half at minus 110.
That's crazy.
To me, I think second half should be an overwhelming favorite in this match. What do you think, George?
Yeah, man, I'm with you. So there are a couple reasons that I really feel that is the case. I mentioned the Bucks, and the way that we've seen Tom Brady and the Bucks be successful offensively is when they really start to open things up. Brady's arm, there may have been people that have not watched enough Tom Brady this year and think that the deep passing game has not been there. This guy has the most completions of 20-plus yard throws in the NFL. His arm is perfectly fine. So if you see a situation where the Chiefs get out to a lead, then the Bucks are at some point in the game going to have to turn it on in the second half, and they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And if the Bucks happen to get a lead early in the game in the first half, well, the Chiefs are coming back. So I completely agree with you. Look, I've already bet those two third and fourth quarter overs. I'm with you guys 100%.
You can follow George on Twitter at PFF_George. It is George Shahuri, as I say it fast. How'd I do that time, George?
Not too bad. Better than the connection that we had originally over Skype. I'm gonna blame the snow, and I think everyone can blame the snow for just about anything that happens poorly with electricity or internet for the next 2 days. So I'm blaming it.
Well, I moved out to Las Vegas, so I don't know what snow is anymore.
Nope.
Matt. Yeah, I don't know what that is. George,
please rub it in more.
Yeah. You could feel free to come out here. Get PFF1 to fly yourself out here.
PFF.
George, any other props that are jumping out at you? I know you've been diving in on them, and it's early in the week, and people might like them more as they go. But any other early props that you saw that intrigued you?
Yeah, and Eric and I, as you mentioned on the forecast, went over a bunch of these and wrote up a few. We'll talk a little bit more on Wednesday night about them. I'll talk about a few that we really liked. Patrick Mahomes' passing yardage prop is really high, and I hate to bet against Mahomes, throwing the ball well, because he's going to throw the ball well. But I talked about it a little, earlier in this segment, where it's the Bucks are going to do everything they can to keep the explosive passing game from being really successful. And you can find, some places maybe up to 330 on his passing yardage prop. And I would expect the Bucks to make the refs throw flags as opposed to Tyreek Hill making catches and then running away from them. So you get a couple of PIs in there, and obviously those don't count as passing yards. And then what we've seen as well is both tackles obviously being backups for the Chiefs. The quick passing game. His average depth of target was 5 yards downfield in the conference championship. I expect him to still be efficient, but it's harder with 1,000 paper cuts to get to 330. Another one that I like quite a bit is Tom Brady under 2.5 carries. This one minus 120, so it's standard juice there. And you're thinking about an underdog playing likely from behind, so I don't expect the kneel downs to come into play here. He's only had a couple of sneaks twice this season. So those are two that I like quite a bit as well.
Anything besides the standard player props? Do we have anything with the teams themselves? I know you guys do so much work on the players, and it's kind of what PFF's known for. But when it comes to the game, this game has so many props available. Are there any other things that you sort of identified outside the player prop market involving the teams that you think people could take advantage of?
Yeah, I think so. This is an interesting one. The total number of field goals in the game is at 3.5, and I think our prop still shows a little bit of value on the under there. You think about two teams that understand the quality of quarterback they're going against, and the Chiefs are fresh off seeing the Packers, field goal their way out of a chance to go to the Super Bowl, right? They saw that happen against the Buccaneers. And I expect these teams to go for fourth downs to try and score touchdowns here. And so under 3.5 field goals is one that I like a little bit. And I'll give you one more that I'm curious your guys' take on, because I always got to bet one kind of wonky prop, right? And for me, I've dived way too deeply into the national anthem, which is set at 2 minutes. And everyone seems to be thinking that it's going to be well under 2 minutes. But it is a duo. This hasn't happened that often. They'll have to trade off, go back and forth. Miss Sullivan has the ability to carry out a note for quite a long time. It's been a stressful year. There's going to be a lot of emotion. I'm getting the plus price. I'm going over 2 minutes on the anthem.
I like that overplay. I may join you on that one. What do you think about total punts in this game? This is a Kansas City team in the playoffs.
6.5, I saw.
6.5 total punts, and I think the Chiefs have only punted once in 2 playoff games this year. It kind of goes along with your under field goals, the aggressiveness of these offense. But I also thought maybe under 6.5 punts was also one to look at.
Well, and think about this so the Chiefs have not punted because they're awesome. The Bucks have been a little volatile. Tom Brady has thrown interceptions and they have not, come back to roost for them because of how well the rest of their team has played and how, kind of some of the mistakes. So I like that one quite a bit. Who wants to root for punts?
Yeah,
that's it.
No one wants to root for punts. We want points, and we want under punts, and we want a long national anthem. George, we appreciate you powering through some technical difficulties, and we'll catch up with you down the road, man.
Hey, enjoy the Super Bowl, guys. Thanks.
There he is, George Chahuri at PFF_George. Does fine work there at Pro Football Focus. We'll update you on all of the finals from earlier today, including the Dukies going down as a double-digit favorite. It's the nightcap on VSiN. Welcome back into all our new viewers this week. Now that you're here and you've been here hopefully the majority of the show, take a minute to start your free trial of an all-access VSiN subscription. March Madness is right around the corner. Might be a Dukeless March Madness, but regardless, the show must go on. And football betting season keeps on going even after the big game this weekend with free agency, the quarterback carousel, and the NFL draft, one of my favorite nights of the year. Of course, our experts are handicapping games in every sport every day, so you have an edge all year round. VSiN gives you everything you need to improve your sports betting IQ with daily insights and analysis. So sign up now to get our daily emails with best bets from our hosts and guests, 24/7 video streaming, and our point spread weekly betting guides. Check out all our membership options starting for only $33.99 per month at vsin.com/subscribe to start your free trial today. It is the Nightcap each and every weekday night from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. Today is the first of many to come. That is Matt Holt. I am Tim Murray. And Matt, we got a lot to get to. Every game is in the books when it comes to the NBA and and college hoops and
NHL as well.
Switching over to the NHL, yeah, all those games in the books as well. So, over the next couple segments, let's just power through some of the biggest results of the day. And I want to start with earlier today. Earlier this evening, before we hopped on the air, I jokingly opened the show with a bet regret. Didn't take the points with the Canes on the road at Duke. Miami was getting 11, and there was money on Duke today. This thing opened at 8.5, got as high as 11, went off at 11 at, I think, almost every spot in town. And the Miami Hurricanes not only covered this spread, but money line comes home. So if you had the Stones, you had some payouts of 5-1, it looks like, at the Westgate Superbook and other spots. So Miami, a really impressive win, and it would be, I think Joe Lunardi just tweeted it. It's going to be really hard to see Duke in March Madness, barring a run in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of games under their belt this season. They only 7-6 on the year, so only 13 games played and 5-4 in the ACC. They'd have to make a big run. I'm with you. I think it's hard to see them in this postseason, and the team just doesn't look like their heart's in it this year, and they never had developed any continuity. And both of these teams in this game have really had an up and down year. That's what I think made that game so difficult to bet. Miami with Likes and all the guys missing, and Duke just having such an erratic scene since coming off the couch after that shutdown that I don't know how you could pick either side, really. But how do you lay 11 on the road?
On the road with Duke, and look, I got suckered into it this weekend. I've been a little higher on Clemson than most, and I took the points with Clemson at Cameron this weekend, and Duke won that game going away. But Duke now just 3-10 against the spread. The biggest game of the day, no doubt about it, was Texas Tech hosting Oklahoma. No Austin Reeves, no Alondis Williams. Great effort again from Lon Kruger's squad, but they don't come home. But they do cover. They cover the 7.5. Texas Tech wins this game 57-52, well under the total of 135. And Texas Tech and Oklahoma, both really impressive squads. I mean, the Big 12 this year, Matt, has
so good,
so competitive. And we'll see Baylor tomorrow, and obviously we'll get into that game a little bit. Baylor taking on Texas in Austin, but a heck of a game. I mean, not the prettiest game, but, what we've talked about. Those two teams, a lot of Chris Beard's squad can never count them out.
No, and look, Lon Kruger, what a job he's done. They got down 10 late in that game. In a game with no scoring, basically, you get down 10. It felt like it was dead. They came back and cut it to 2 again with under a minute to play. What an effort from Oklahoma. What a great game here. I mean, it's just back and forth the whole time. Despite the low scoring, there's some low-scoring games that feel like a dud. That one felt like a battle.
Yeah, it really did. And a couple other college basketball games to get into. We will hit on the NBA on the other side. A pretty busy night in the association. LeBron taking on Trae Young, and a heck of a performance from Chris Paul. But in the Missouri Valley today, some zigzag opportunities. One that went in the positive direction. The Drake Bulldogs back in the covering column. 14-1 ATS now. They beat Illinois State 95-60 after an overtime win yesterday. And the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago 70-50 over Missouri State. 8 points, no problem for the Ramblers. And looking at the schedule, Matt, we are about 2 weeks away from Drake hosting Loyola of Chicago.
There it is. That's the one.
That should be a heck of a showdown. Back-to-back games at Drake.
13th
NBA
and 14th, Valentine's Day night.
Sounds like a perfect Valentine's to me, Matt. I don't know about you. It's the Nightcap here on VSiN. It is the Nightcap here on VSiN. Tim Murray and Matt Holt here holding it down. We're going to get into some NFL prop action that we like, but we want to continue. I mean, the big thing about this show, we will turn the page, look ahead to tomorrow a little bit in our final hour here, Matt. But we have to look at what has gone final so far, and a bit of a unique night because not much West Coast action happening. Almost everything was wrapped up here just a little bit ago with Oklahoma and Texas Tech taking care of business. But let's run through some games in the NBA. And a pretty popular bet. I saw a lot of people on it. I ended up playing it as well. Did not get home. That was the Trailblazers team total over, which got off to a great start. 46-36 was the score to the first quarter tonight in Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Matt, was coming off back-to-back pretty ugly and head-scratching losses at the Pelicans, at the Hornets. They were laying 9 tonight, And they end up, actually, this thing went off at 10, and they end up cruising to victory, 134-106. The over hits as well. And a pretty, not a monster game from Giannis, under his total for the night, which was 29.5. Bobby Portis had a big game off the bench, but the Bucks cover with relative ease in this game, 134-106.
Yeah, and Portland just, to your point earlier, they just gave it up in the fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down so bad going into the fourth quarter that there wasn't even any effort to push into the fourth quarter.
And I know a lot of people with C.J. McCollum out and Nurkic out thought Damian Lillard over would be a play. Well, he only finished with 17 points. So really any bet that you had on Damian Lillard, only 2 3-pointers. I know I saw some people over, I think it was 2.5 or 3.5 threes for Damian Lillard. So
I don't remember seeing him much in the fourth. I mean, they basically cleaned house, put the bench in there, and let the bench go to work. The deficit was so large going into the fourth.
One game, especially with the spread, that was very much in question was this Lakers-Hawks game earlier tonight down in Atlanta. The Lakers have been on the road for almost 2 weeks. Won a really competitive, low-scoring affair on Saturday night in Boston, in Atlanta tonight. And the Lakers, thanks to a couple clutch free throws down the stretch by LeBron, Matt, they get home. They cover the number 107-99. The Lakers get the cover. This thing went as low as 5.5, then started to get that Lakers money back. LeBron did not get over his 26.5 point total, but did get there on assists as he finished with 9 assists. But the Lakers get the win and the cover under hits, though, down in Atlanta tonight.
And what a bummer if you had Atlanta. That was a 2-point game late, and it seemed right there. And then even at the end, Lakers missed that shot. And if Atlanta grabs that rebound, they probably cover. They don't. Lakers get an offensive rebound. LeBron grabs the ball. Looks like he may have traveled, almost fell over.
Yeah.
Somehow they call a foul. He buries both free throws to cover all numbers. Just a crazy ending. At the end of the day, though, Lakers get the money.
Lakers get the money and bring it home. A dog that ate, not a big dog, but Phoenix coming home. They were a 2-point dog tonight in Dallas. And I know this is a spot, Matt, I don't think you played it, but you knew some people that were on Dallas. They were healthy for the first time. What was the stat? First time in how many?
425 days since the last time Dallas had a game without somebody on the injury report.
So a healthy Dallas Mavericks, but they do not get home thanks to a really throwback effort from Chris Paul. 14 of 20 from the field, 34 points, 9 boards, 9 assists, and the Suns get a 1-point win.
Huge fourth quarter for them, too. I mean, Dallas led this game all 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden in the fourth, the Suns come in with a big 32-point fourth quarter, outscore the Mavs down the stretch, and then sneak in with a 1-point victory.
Another dog tonight that came home with ease, if you were looking for one. Memphis was at San Antonio. The return of Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies just throttled the San Antonio Spurs tonight, 133-102, the final. Huge fourth quarter for Memphis, outscoring San Antonio by 18. And Ja Morant, 22 minutes, 13 points, did have 8 assists tonight, and a couple of steals. So he did not get over his point total, which was set at 20.5, but a big-time win for Memphis. As
you talk about scoring being distributed in some of these games. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players in double digits for the Memphis Grizzlies. Wow.
Yeah, 133-102. Memphis able to come home in that one. New Orleans, a home favorite. They do not come home. They lose to the Sacramento Kings tonight, 118-109. New Orleans in this one, Matt, went off as a 2.5-point favorite. So there was money on Sacramento. Drove this down from 4.5 down to 2.5. Just looking at some player props out there. Once again, looking at a lot of these player props that I wrote down of some of the bigger names out there in the NBA tonight, a lot of unders hitting on point totals. Zion Williamson, 25.5, finished with 17. Brandon Ingram, 23.5, finished with 20. So the unders and a lot of these big name players coming through tonight, and the Pelicans fall as a 2.5-point home favorite tonight, 118-109.
I'll tell you who a superstar in this game who's on player prop didn't go under, De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
What a big game. 38 points, 12 assists for De'Aaron Fox tonight. as the Kings get a big road win.
We had an overtime. I mean, the Miami, we had a good night for the Miami Hurricanes. They beat Duke as an 11-point dog in Coral Gables. But in South Beach tonight, the Miami Heat lose in overtime to the Charlotte Hornets, 129-121. And at this point, Matt, it is just really hard to envision a spot. Miami went off as a 7.5-point favorite tonight. This team is just all out of sorts. They lose in overtime, and it's hard to back the Miami Heat at this point in time because it just feels like this team is tired from last year's run.
They really do, and Tyler Hero 3 for 10 tonight from the field, 3 for 7 from the 3-point arc. Jimmy Butler 0 for 3 from behind the arc. They're just not shooting the ball right now, Tim.
And one player prop that did come home, Jimmy Butler, who's been really banged up. He played 25 points tonight, so you're able to cash that. One final one I do want to hit on here, and we'll hit on some player props for the Super Bowl here coming up on the other side. We had the return of Tom Thibodeau in Chicago. The Bulls went off as a 3.5-point favorite, and the Bulls bring home the money, 110-102, the victory for the Bulls tonight. And Zach LaVine, really a pedestrian night for his standards in the month of January, averaging 28.3 points per game, but a heck of a night for Lauri Markkanen as the Bulls get it home.
30 points for Markkanen tonight. Look, Julius Randle, another good game for the Knicks, and this one was a little deceiving. Really close right up until the end, then all of a sudden Bulls get the money late.
There you go. Bulls bring it home. Some dogs eating tonight as well. It is the nightcap. We'll get into some prop bets and some early thoughts on Super Bowl 55 next. It's the nightcap on VSiN. welcome into all our new viewers this week, including some of those who might be checking us out here at the Circus Sportsbook. Just look behind us on the big screen. You know what? I'm all in on games ending early on the West Coast, as that means the nightcap gets up on the big screen here at Circa. But hey, now that you're here, take a minute and start your free trial of an all-access VSiN subscription. March Madness is right around the corner, and the football betting season keeps going after the big game with free agency, the quarterback carousel, and the NFL draft. And of course, our experts are handicapping games in every sport every day, so you have an all-around edge this year. VSiN gives you everything you need to improve your sports betting IQ with daily insights and analysis. So sign up now to get our daily emails with the best bets from our hosts and guests, 24/7 video streaming, and our point spread weekly betting guides. Check out all of our membership options starting at only $3.99 per month at vsin.com/subscribe to start your free trial today. Tim Murray, Matt Holt with you. It is the nightcap. We will be turning the page a little bit at the top of the hour. We will bring in Jim Root, part of the Three Man Weave podcast. Great college basketball betting insight from that group of dudes, and Jim's one of the best. So we will talk to Jim top of the hour. Big college hoops slate tomorrow, none bigger than Texas and Baylor. Is it a spot to fade Baylor, or are they just a monster? You know what? I've been promising people prop bets, but it's not my head. And Aaron Oster, our producer, knows how I roll. I just kind of whatever's in my head, I want to talk about, but. There's been a lot of discussion. I saw John Rothstein, who I'm a big fan of, over at CBS, tweet out over the weekend, Gonzaga, Baylor, fill in the two blanks for the Final Four. You know, we've watched a lot of college basketball, Matt, over the years. And as great as Gonzaga and Baylor have been, I just, that makes me a little squirmish, you know, a little uneasy. I mean, look at that. Minus 305 to make the Final Four for Gonzaga.
It's a shame that we didn't get to see this matchup earlier in the year, because I will say this Baylor team on the court, and they have had to face a gauntlet, is as good as any team I've seen. They dismantled Illinois in the second half. Just some of the teams that they've run through already, what they did to West Virginia. This is a really, really good basketball team. Gonzaga, I'd be really nervous, though, to lay minus 305. We've read this book before. Number 1 seed Gonzaga going into the tournament, and 0 Final Fours under Mark Few. I don't know that one Final Four under Mark out of all, but I think it was 0 as a number 1 seed, right?
I'm trying to remember the year they went, and if you had Gonzaga against North Carolina that night, man, Zach Collins getting in foul trouble that early. The refs' whistles were a little tight that evening. Look, I talked about it on My Guys in the Desert quite a bit. I like Villanova. I was very high on them preseason. I have 2 futures on them. 16-1 and 18-1. I mean, as late as last week, Villanova was 20-1 at William Hill, which I felt like was really good value to grab. But I think a team that no one's really talking about, and granted, the AAC isn't what it has been in years past. Wichita State and Memphis a little bit down, but Houston just continues to just knock everyone out of their way.
Look what they did to SMU Saturday. SMU is a good basketball team, and Houston absolutely smashed them. And I remember last week during their weekday game, I was at the gym on the treadmill, and I'm trying to remember what it was, 40-8. I think they had 40 points before Tulane got into double digits in that game. Yeah. It was unbelievable whipping.
They're a tremendous defensive team, and they're going to be fascinating to watch come the NCAA tournament. And look, one thing I am excited about is seeing Hinkle Fieldhouse and Mackey Arena, Assembly Hall, all these places in Indiana being utilized. I think they missed the boat. I mean, look, there's not going to be fans or very limited. Just put the championship at Hinkle Fieldhouse, man.
Sure.
Come on, why not? It's a crazy year. Just put it at Hinkle Fieldhouse. We'll think about Hoosiers. We'll get a smile on our face, and one of the greatest arenas out there. Haven't seen a game there. I've walked through it. Matt, never seen a game at Hinkle Fieldhouse. But let's get to the Super Bowl. I know tons of people waiting. I think we had a person watching on YouTube ask a question about what's the best 2-touchdown prop out there. Give a shout out to Bruce checking us out on YouTube. keep on coming back, Bruce. We appreciate you checking us out. But any props, Matt, that historically you've liked to play, or something that is intriguing? I know that you're on the under first half, 27.5. Anything else intriguing you?
My favorite prop is have to have more points scored in its second half over first half at this point. And we had Jeff on earlier who talked about the fact that he saw it as a -110 around town.
You can find that. You got
unbelievable. I mean, historically, the last 10 years, I think the second half has scored almost 7 points more on average than the first half. Just unbelievable value in the second half, having more points scored than the first half. So I really like that one. I like under 6.5 punts. I mean, Kansas City's punted once in the entire playoffs this year. Tampa Bay, not only do they not punt very often, but Tom Brady's been throwing interceptions. He got away with it a little bit against New Orleans, as 2 of those interceptions, that were called interceptions on the field, ended up getting overturned. That works, as that won't be a punt either. I don't think there's going to be too many punts in this game, as you have 2 really aggressive coaches. 6.5 seems like a lot.
Yeah, and I'll just, once again, going back to the highest scoring half, I pulled it up right now on DraftKings. Actually, you have to lay more juice at DraftKings on the first half than the second half. -113 on the first half, -112 on the second half. I think that is a really intriguing play. If you can find juice like that, I think that's one to take a look at. This is, once again, and being out here for as long as you are, and now working at U.S. Integrity, the creativity that you see. DraftKings has this one, and look, we're going to go all throughout the week. We'll take a look at Circus Props. We'll take a look at Westgate, a lot of different shops, and one thing that's important is, with the props, there are going to be discrepancies in the market.
Big discrepancies sometimes.
If you like Tom Brady under passing yards, don't just fire at the first shot. Make sure you're looking around and finding, or if you like over, that's going to be, if you have the capabilities to look at different books and play different books, please do so.
And there's plenty of astute bettors that will actually look to middle a lot of these player props on the yardage, because there's just such large variances if you shop around.
Any field goal or extra point hitting the uprights or crossbar, plus 375 on the yes. These props, and you know how it works. All of these fun novelty props, the safety prop, all these high juice props, the guys that come in and gals over the weekend, the tourists, they're going to want to play the plus money. Those are the fun ones. Those are the $10, $20 bets to put on the plus money. And like you were joking with Jeff, you put something up for the Super Bowl, it's getting bet on.
100%.
No matter what it is, it's getting bet on.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back in the day, it used to have to be things decided on the field. So we'd put will there be a safety on back-to-back possessions? Well, that's never happening.
Right.
But people would bet the yes, because if you make the odds high enough, you'll certainly take action.
Well, and I have the circa squares right here, and if you think it's going to be a 2-2 first quarter, hey, that's plus 10,000. So
nice, there you go.
Go make yourself some money on a 2-2. What was that? Iowa Penn State a couple years ago? Not a couple, like 10, 15 years ago. 6-4 final score, or something in that regard. Multiple touchdowns scored. I'm looking at DraftKings right now, and this is a question that we had. Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill have the shortest odds. Think about this. Multiple touchdowns from either one of those guys, plus 250. That's it.
Wow.
And we talked about the anytime touchdown.
I think I'd rather have Kelce than Hill for multiple.
I really feel like I just don't want to pay the -175. So I'm going to have to get creative on Travis Kelce, but I feel like Travis Kelce is... he's going to find the end zone.
And he's a problem for that Tampa defense.
Yeah.
And he's a problem for any defense. But.
And he had a spectacular game, last weekend in the AFC Championship. We know what Tyreek Hill was able to do against the Buccaneers last time.
Which makes me think that they're going to make some adjustments.
That's exactly my thinking. And, the middle of that, that defense, and Todd Bowles is as aggressive as it comes. And we saw that last weekend, 5 sacks for Tampa Bay against Green Bay. But if you're blitzing consistently, and you've got a weapon like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, receptions prop, let me pull that up here in just a moment. Receptions on Kelce have to be, they're going to be very high, but, think about last week, over 8.5. That's a ton of receptions.
Yeah.
But it's plus 110. So
that's still a lot.
That's a lot of receptions.
Yeah.
That's a ton of receptions. So people aren't messing around. First touchdown, I think it was last year, if I remember correct, Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback for the Ravens, I believe scored the game's first touchdown, and that was a juicy return on your investment. I think around 40-1 or so.
Wow, I don't remember that one. I think you're right.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Thinking about Travis Kelce, 6-1 scoring the game's first touchdown. One prop that I think is intriguing is the first drive. What is it going to be? I think punt is a intriguing play if you get that in plus money,
especially Tampa if they get the ball
right, because Kansas City usually defers. Tampa Bay, did they get off to a slow start? Got off to a gangbuster start against Green Bay. Went right down the field. Yeah. Mike Evans scores the touchdown. And that's one thing. I faded Mike Evans last week against Green Bay in receiving yards, and I was very fortunate to get that to come home because he had 45 yards in the first drive. But it feels like, Matt, Chris Godwin is Brady's guy right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So, as the week goes on, before we hammer in have you made any plays in the Super Bowl yet?
Just under 27.5.
Yeah,
first half.
I'm gonna join you on that, and I'm waiting the money line price to go down on Kansas City.
Yeah,
I think as everyone says, especially with the Super Bowl, people see the plus price. They're gonna want to play Tampa Bay. Wait for that to drive itself down if you like Kansas City. We'll talk some college hoops up at the top of the hour. It's the Nightcap on VSiN. It's hour 3. We're not slowing down. Hopefully your whiskey has a couple ice cubes in. You're ready to roll to wrap up the day. Hopefully it's been a good betting evening for you. And we will look ahead and maybe pick out some winners heading into tomorrow. That's Matt Holt, U.S. Integrity. Tim Murray with you. And Matt, I know you're a big UFC guy, and we're going to look at a couple of the finals from that took place. But it's ancient history now, but were you on the dog in the McGregor fight? Did you like Poirier there?
I did.
Nice.
It came down to, if you liked Conor, you also had to like the under. I mean, most of Conor's biggest wins come in the first round early, and you knew if Poirier was able to survive that early barrage, and Conor did land some good straight lefts, that he was going to be in trouble. Historically, Conor gets himself in trouble when he can't get guys out of there early. And I always say this, MMA is so much different than boxing because there's so many different disciplines you have to learn that you constantly have to be in the gym training and preparing for all of them. And the fact that he hasn't been training or fighting very often showed. Look, leg kicks and calf kicks are a staple in the MMA game now. Conor McGregor wasn't very well equipped to deal with them in that fight. They became a real problem for him at the end of round 1.
Yeah, and they were, as a novice, ultimate novice like me, watching that, I'm thinking, yeah, he's going to run out of power, and that's exactly what happened in the second round. What's next for Poirier?
It should be a title fight against Charles Oliveira. I think they're going to do Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler with Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira for the title. It'll probably be in June. It'll be a huge pay-per-view.
Nice. It'll be great, and we'll have Matt here to break it all down, and I'll just say, whatever you say, Matt, I will follow your lead on the UFC. But taking a look at the board here, and we haven't hit on any hockey. Montreal winning over Vancouver 6-2, so the puck line coming home there. If you had, my beloved Washington Capitals, who had not lost a regulation game this year, this was not looking great if you had puck line on Boston. But ultimately, that puck line comes home a late, I believe, empty netter. Boston wins it 5-3. Yeah,
5 straight goals for the Bruins. Wow.
Yeah, they get home. Tampa Bay takes care of Nashville tonight, 5-2. Tampa Bay, the home favorite there. The Rangers, if you had the puck line in this one, credit to you, because I believe with 1 second to go, empty netter makes it 3-1. For the Rangers to bring it home.
Were they the
against
favorite with the puck line? For some reason, I thought the puck line was on the Penguins there.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Pulling that. Yeah. And Calgary beats Winnipeg 4-3, and the Golden Knights game against San Jose was postponed. College hoops, which we're going to get into here with Jim Root in just a moment. A game that you and I had some interest in, the under a breeze, Texas Tech and Oklahoma, 57-52. And the Sooners, they don't get the win, and I'm sure Lon Kruger's squad not happy about that, but a really solid effort. And as you've talked about, this was an Oklahoma squad that found itself down about double digits very late in this game and battled back and ultimately just loses by 5.
Yeah, unbelievable performance on the defensive side for this team. I mean, Lon Kruger has done an amazing job. Second straight game without Reeves, and there they were, down 2 in the final minute against one of the best teams in the country in Texas Tech, led by Chris Beard.
Mac McClung did not make a field goal tonight. McClung had been red hot entering this game, 24.5 points per game in his last 4, was 13 of 28 from 3, 0 for 5 tonight. From the three-point line, 0 for 7 from the field, but did hit some clutch free throws down the stretch, 6 for 6 for McClung from the free throw line. Not the prettiest game, but Chris Beard's squad gets a nice victory at home against Oklahoma, who soared into the top 10 after a very big week there for the Oklahoma Sooners. Duke, an early loser, and you got to imagine the bubble is getting further and further away from the Blue Devils, an 11-point favorite for the Blue Devils, and they ultimately fall 77-75. And earlier today, you could have got yourself a winner with Louisville. They were laying 5 against Georgia Tech, and if you were up early here in the West and you wanted to take some points with the Citadel, well, congratulations. You got that victory as they lost by 1 to Western Carolina. More college hoops talk coming up in just a second. It is the Nightcap. Tim Murray and Matt Holt with you here on VSiN. You might be wondering, wait, is this a new show? Yep, it's a new show each and every weeknight with you, 7 to 10 Pacific, 10 to 1 a.m. Eastern, taking a look back at the day that was, sweating out some plays as the show goes on, like Matt and I were with a money line parlay with Texas Tech coming home. So if you had Oklahoma in the points, well, you're happy. And guess what? We're happy too, because we just needed them to win. It's all that matters. There's different ways. Everybody can be happy. And I think our next guest, who will be a frequent contributor, looking forward to this, does great work with the Three Man Weave podcast. He is Jim Root at Second Chance Points on Twitter, lives now here in Las Vegas. And Jim, before we look ahead to tomorrow, and a pretty juicy slate for a Tuesday night, no surprises there. How was your night? I know you had a no-sweat winner on Oklahoma on this under.
I did. I'm glad that one just kept it easy for me, because the spread, as you mentioned, was a little bit more stressful. Took a couple of maybe lucky threes from Oklahoma. I think there was a bank in the first half, and then a late shot clock one in the second half from Harkless. But all that matters is that final score, and the Sooners got there.
What about Louisville this morning? We talked about what a tough spot it was for Georgia Tech, and Louisville getting a little extra rest here. Georgia Tech came out on fire, a lot of energy, a lot of blocks. But what we saw in the second half was a Georgia Tech team that looked fatigued coming off that tough game Saturday in less than 48-hour turnaround, playing the early game today at the Yum Yum Center.
Yeah, that's
you had an extra yum in there?
That's a tough schedule spot.
Did I say 3?
The Yum Yum, the Yummy Center. Yeah. No, that was tough for Georgia Tech to have to do that. Come right back. Yeah, 48 hours later, like you said, on the road. It also just kind of, watching it, had the feel of nothing is going right for them. And they had some layups that just kind of sat on the rim and fell right off. Open shots didn't go in. It was, tough to watch for them, because they had been playing so well lately. And to have that one, I wouldn't say Louisville was really firing on all cylinders, but just one of those days for Georgia Tech where they couldn't get it going. I personally, I think the optimism is still probably there for the Yellow Jackets going forward. Just got to write this off as a really tough schedule spot and a bad day.
Yeah, Georgia Tech has been feisty this year. They hammered Clemson coming off their COVID break. I was on the wrong side of that one, and played really well against UVA, losing by 2. And then I think a lot of people, Jim, took the points with Georgia Tech plus the 6. It was a 68-all game with a minute to go, and Duke ends up getting a miraculous cover. And speaking of Duke, and this was I opened the show, Jim, with this, joking that sometimes missing out on a bet is more painful than actually losing a bet. And I felt like that's what happened tonight. I had the phone app ready to fire, take the points with Miami, and then I said, money's coming in on Duke. As we've talked about on the show, Miami certainly has been unpredictable. They got hammered by Notre Dame at home. But Miami wins this game outright, wins by 2 as an 11-point dog. And Duke just really at no points this year, maybe aside from this weekend, Jim, when they ran away with Clemson at Cameron, have they looked impressive. This is one of the worst Duke teams in probably 20 some odd years.
Yeah, these are two teams that I have had headaches trying to figure out one way or the other. For a while, I think Duke had covered one game only, and that was at Notre Dame, and I was on Notre Dame that game. So, the only time that Duke had covered spread, I was against them. Yes, good. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one there. And then Miami, they've been pretty feisty as a dog at times, but then they got trounced by Syracuse. They got destroyed by Boston College. Some bad shooting luck kind of on both ends. They weren't making threes. Their opponents were very, very hot. I think Boston College hit like 18 threes in that game. So, I've been trying to figure out, okay, how much of this is bad luck? They've had injuries. They just kicked a player off the team that seemed like he was going to be a contributor, a freshman, Matt Cross. I was like, all right, something's up in the locker room. But they did get some guys healthier tonight. Elijah Olani had not played, I think, the previous 2 games. He came back and was a major contributor. He hit some shots, had some steals. And really, the thing with Duke that jumps out for me is they're so sloppy, especially the freshmen. They will throw passes straight to the other team, even just swinging the ball around the perimeter. They're not careful about who they throw to, give up a ton of free layups going the other way. And I'm not sure how easily that gets fixed. I mean, if it's not fixed in February right now, when's that going to happen? It's a tough season for Duke. They're in a world of hurt.
I agree. Certainly on the outside looking in right now, they're going to have to get something going, but they will have some opportunities down the stretches. They still get to play Virginia, Syracuse. They certainly still have some games left on the schedule and an opportunity to impress the committee, but so far not good for the Blue Devils.
No, not at all. I have a Duke buddy of mine tell me, he's like, oh, I think they need to go 8-1 down the stretch to make it in the tournament. I gave him the conspiracy theory back of there was no NCAA tournament last year. I'm sure the NCAA wants Duke in the NCAA tournament. So as long as they can give them somewhat of a reason to include them, I bet we see the Blue Devils there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, they got a lot of work to do. We're talking to Jim Root, 3-Man Weave at Second Chance Points on Twitter. Great college basketball insight, and we're going to turn the page here in just a moment. But I can't go. I really can't go like 30 minutes or so without mentioning the Missouri Valley Conference. I don't know what it is. I just love the MVC. And Drake is now 14-1 ATS as they win by 35 today over Illinois State, avenging not a loss, but their only non-cover of the year, Jim. And the Sister Jeans, Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers, winning by 20. Missouri State, I know I've seen some people. I was on Missouri State in their first game against Drake. That was pretty painful to swallow. I followed up with Drake the next day, so I evened up there, and I've stayed away from these couple games. But both Loyola and Drake, if you combine their records right now, Matt and Jim, they're 26-4-1 ATS. So if you're just with the Ramblers and the Bulldogs, Jim, you're good.
Yeah, just blind bet them. Don't even look at the number. Don't look at the opponent. I've almost gotten to that point with Drake. I mean, I was on them yesterday when they did not cover. I looked at the box score. I saw they were 4 for 30 from deep. I saw an Illinois State starter did not play, and I was just like, that's not happening again. So I ran it back tonight, and yeah, the second half they just put a hurting on them. It was great to see. You know, the Bulldogs get back to their covering form. And then Loyola, geez, what do you even say about them at this point? A lot of people have made the joke that, you know, they're just beating teams up to rise in the net in the analytical rankings, but why not? If they can, you might as well. And if they don't have any, like, you know, big banner hanging non-conference wins at the top of their resume, if they can point to a top 15 KenPom spot, maybe that's enough to get them an at-large bid.
Yeah, the net rankings and the offensive and defensive efficiency numbers and how teams are able to run them up. You know, they always had that, hey, it doesn't matter if you win by more than 10, but then the offensive and defensive efficiencies are the top priorities and what matters in the net, you know, in terms of the highest weight. So it does matter if you run it up. So these teams are incentivized to run it up, actually, and the net's meaningful. The NCAA committee uses it as one of the tools they're using to select teams.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I was high on Loyola, not high on Drake. I actually like Northern Iowa. I know they've dealt with some injuries preseason. All right, let's spin it ahead, Jim. And this is the best part about this show is, you know, we're really the first people, Matt, to take a look at tomorrow's lines. In some spots of America, it is tomorrow. But let's take a look at a game I know you've got an opinion on. 6:21, 6:22. Penn State at Wisconsin tomorrow. Especially for a big conference, Jim, a bit of an unusual back-to-back situation. We see it in the MVC and conferences like that. But over the weekend in Happy Valley, Penn State stunned Wisconsin by 10. Great second half, outscored Wisconsin by 13, forced 12 turnovers, which is a bit uncharacteristic. You think Wisconsin laying 7 at home bounces back tomorrow night?
I do. This has been maybe my favorite part of the schedule this year with all these back-to-backs is, all right, I got the first game wrong. I can stubbornly bet it again. This is great. And I was on Wisconsin this weekend. I thought they'd take care of business on Saturday against a Penn State team. I don't think they had lost to Penn State since like 2003. It was a long, long time that they'd taken care of business against them. But it happened, so now they get to, you know, defend or get their mojo back at home at the Kohl Center in Madison. I think they get some things figured out defensively, especially. They were really hurt by dribble drives, by the pick and roll, and it's just not really a typical Wisconsin team to be so vulnerable on that end. So yeah, I think after losing, they take a look inward, they make some adjustments. and they win this one by double digits. So give me the Badgers tomorrow for sure.
And I think Wisconsin's done a great job. They're 7-4 in the Big Ten, but after each loss they've won. They've yet to lose 2 in a row this season. They lost that game to Maryland at home. That was kind of a shocker.
Yeah.
Turned around and beat Minnesota, who was ranked at the time, by double digits. Lost to Michigan in a game where they were never in it. I mean, Michigan ran them off the court. Turn around and win on the road at Rutgers. Same thing, lose to Ohio State. Turn around and win on the road at Maryland. So the one thing Wisconsin's been very good at this year is bouncing back off the loss.
Yeah, that's true. And for a Wisconsin veteran team, it's hard to disagree, Jim, with your thought there, laying the points with Wisconsin. One game I think a lot of people are ready to fire on, and it did open here at Circa with Florida State laying 14, but Boston College and Florida State 641-642 rotation. Put a line through that. That one has been canceled. I don't know if you have a strong opinion on this, but it is the game of the night tomorrow, and we've seen it tick down a little bit. Baylor opened up as a 6-point road favorite, at Texas tomorrow. I know Texas has been dealing with some COVID issues. This Baylor team, 16-0 straight up, 12-4 ATS, Jim. Is this a spot to potentially grab some points with Texas, or are you going to maybe look to roll with the Baylor Bears here?
I think my gut lean, I made this number about what it is. My gut lean is it's kind of been the same with both Baylor and Gonzaga this year, is when they are faced with competition that they, feel tested by or are going to be like really pushed, they can get to a gear that nobody else can. We've seen Gonzaga just destroy, easily covered against Kansas, murdered Virginia, have taken care of business against BYU, the top competition for them out west. And I do think Baylor can kind of do the same thing. The second half against Illinois was the first sign that I really saw of it. They had a comfortable cover against Kansas before a walk-on banked in a 3 as well. So I just think when they're faced with a team that's close to their level, like Texas definitely is this season, Baylor's just going to rise up, and I would lean towards the favorite here. Not a super strong lean for me, but just kind of a gut sense on the Bears.
And this one for me, I'm going to have to watch the injury report a little bit because 2 key guys for Texas questionable now tomorrow. Courtney Ramey, who second leading scorer on the team, averaging 14 points, 33 minutes a game, and 4 assists a game. And then Jericho Sims, the forward. He averages over 20 minutes, doesn't get a ton of points, about 8, but 6.5 rebounds per game. They're going to need everything, all systems go in order to beat Baylor. If Ramey and Sims are out, I may look to the Bears.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great one tomorrow. Jim Root from 3-Man Weave, the podcast, does just phenomenal work at Second Chance Points on Twitter. I believe we are negotiating a quite lucrative deal, me and his agent right now. Every Monday, Jim, I think we're working on every Monday night in this spot, if that's okay with you.
Love that.
I think we're going to work that out. Jim, I don't know about you, but you're much sharper than I am. There's no worse feeling in the world when you see an opener come out and you lay the number and you're like, yes, I got a good number, and then it goes the other way. Well, right now I feel a little smart. We'll see. The game still has to be played. I took 4 with Indiana at home tomorrow, and now there's some 2.5s out there, 3. I like this spot quite a bit for the Hoosiers tomorrow. I know they've been a bit Jekyll and Hyde, and the last time we saw them, they lost at home to Rutgers coming off that Iowa win. But Illinois, what a great game. I mean, that was one of the games of the year on Friday night, Illinois beating Iowa. And a couple days to let that marinate, but home squad with desperation. I kind of like Indiana, especially getting it at 4, and now they're about a 3-point dog.
I'm with you. I wish I could have gotten 4. I'm jealous. I'm gonna have number envy of you right now. But yeah, I think Indiana is great, especially as a dog. They're 4-1 as a dog against the number this year. That's really been their money spot when they're kind of overlooked. They obviously won outright at Iowa. Then they came back home, were expected to roll as a favorite, and could not take care of business. But yeah, I like this spot for them. Illinois riding a little too high after both of these teams, I guess, have just beaten Iowa recently without CJ Frederick. I like Indiana as long as Armand Franklin is fully healthy. He's been dealing with an ankle thing, and Archie Miller talked about it a little bit today. But I would imagine that he is able to play. because he's very important for them. They need him. I like Indiana in this spot, as you mentioned.
All right, one final one, Jim. We got about 30 or 45 seconds. You mentioned you were on or are intrigued by the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State tomorrow. Hey, folks, $20 on this game cashes the same way as $20 on Indiana. So why are you intrigued by Jacksonville State against Eastern Kentucky tomorrow?
Well, if I'm going to be on this show every Monday, the people are going to learn that I live in the depths of the board. It's not just the marquee games for me.
Absolutely.
But Jacksonville State already lost at Eastern Kentucky in overtime. They played them very competitively. Now they're back home. I think there's a little bit of revenge angle here. My one worry and why I'm hesitant right now is Brandon Huffman, their North Carolina transfer center, who put up 16 and 16 the last time these two teams faced, might not play. So keep an eye out for that.
All right, Jim. Great stuff, man. Appreciate the insight. Looking forward to picking your brain each and every week here on the Nightcap.
Thanks, Jim.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
And follow him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. Jacksonville State. Take those points, Matt.
Yeah, their last game they lost to my alma mater, Morehead State.
Oh, there you go. We got a little treats and beats. It's going to be a segment we're going to work out here on the show. We're going to do that next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Nightcap on VSiN. Welcome to all our new viewers. Well, it's a new show, so you would be a new viewer. Welcome. It is the Nightcap, and well, now that you're here and I've got your attention, take a minute, start your free trial of an all-access VSiN subscription. March Madness is right around the corner, and the football betting season keeps going after the big game with free agency, quarterback carousel, and the NFL draft. And of course, our experts are handicapping games in every sport every day, so you have an edge all year round. VSiN gives you everything you need to improve your sports betting IQ with daily insights and analysis. So sign up now to get your daily emails with best bets from our hosts and guests, 24/7 video streaming, and our point spread weekly betting guides. Check out our membership options starting at only $3.99 per month. That's vsin.com/subscribe to start your free trial today. Tim Murray, Matt Holt with you. Great insight just a moment ago. That was great as we looked ahead. And Jim Root, we appreciate him joining. Morehead State, Morehead, Kentucky from Boston. How?
I went to the Air Force out of the high school.
Okay.
High school, and then when I got out of the Air Force, I decided, to go to college away from the city, and I just ended up down there. It was nice.
Morehead State.
Well, I went
Eagles?
to UK, yeah.
Okay.
To the Eagles, and I went to UK, and I wanted to be a sports agent. And realized you really needed a law degree, so I transferred about 40 miles east over to Morehead State and got my business degree.
There you go. So we'll keep an eye on the is that the Ohio Valley?
Ohio Valley, yeah. Phil Simms.
Morehead State. We'll keep an eye on
Phil Simms alum.
We'll keep an eye on them, and I imagine you're laying some big dollars on your alma mater each and every night.
They've been hot this year.
Have they? All right. Well, I'm in. You don't have to.
They just beat Mr. Root's Jacksonville State last time out as an underdog on the road.
Yeah, he's all in. Well, not all in. He likes Jacksonville State tomorrow as a short home dog, and I'm looking forward to having Jim on each and every week as we break down the games. All right, in this segment, maybe one of these days we'll get some animation. It's the first show, so we're working out some kinks, but we're gonna call this treats and beats. So look, every bad beat out there, there's someone who benefited on the other side.
Yeah.
So you always got to remember that. But for me, I'll start with the beat. Not to be a little negative. We'll get to our positive here, and a beat for me. And we're going to have sweating out plays all throughout the show. Blazers team total over, was 112.5. Started off great. Thought we were going to get that one home, Matt. And ultimately, after a 36-point first quarter, 20 points in the second, 21 in the third. Damian Lillard, I don't even think played in the fourth quarter. They finished with 106. If you had the over, though, in the Bucks-Blazers game, that one sailed. Because the Bucks were red hot tonight, 134-106, so that came home. So a beat for me there.
Beat for some of the guys in my office today who like the Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh.
425 straight days since they've been able to have an injury-free team. That was the case tonight. A fully healthy Mavericks team led through three quarters. It took a monumental effort from the legend Chris Paul, but the Suns pull out a one-point victory, 109-108. Dishing out the U.S. Integrity office, a tough one.
Well, you know what? U.S. Integrity, you mentioned one of your guys, though. I'll give this a beat. If you had the under tonight, or treat, excuse me, if you had the under in Oklahoma, Texas Tech, that was a no-sweat winner.
Oh, that was a treat from the get-go.
You knew it was 25-18 at the half. You just sat back, kicked your feet up, and said, I'm good. I don't need to get – if you wanted to get aggressive, you mentioned the in-game total got as low as 107.5.
107.5 was the low.
So you could have, if you were ultra-aggressive and weren't just satisfied with your under coming home.
And ultra-savvy because you had to get the perfect peak number.
Right, because it ends up 57-52. And I'll give us a little shout-out. We were sweating it out. It wasn't easy, but our money line parlays – yours is still alive, your 10-legger that would come home with an under in the first half of the Super Bowl, 27.5, still alive. But we both got Texas Tech to come home on the money line, but Oklahoma covers that game 57-52.
And if you had Oklahoma, you had to feel a little fortunate. Down 10 with about 4 to play. They hit 2 threes at the end of shot clocks that were both, just lucky is probably a nice way to say it.
And the treat that keeps on giving is the two top teams in the Missouri Valley Conference. Drake after their first ever non-cover, beats Illinois State 95-60. Now 14-1 against the spread. And Loyola Chicago back-to-back covers against Missouri State as they win by 20 tonight over the Bears of Missouri State. And final treats. If you took the Lakers at any point, didn't look like it was going to come home.
Wow.
Also could have been a beat if you had the Hawks. LeBron James, a couple late free throws, 107-99. Lakers get the cover against Atlanta tonight. We'll take a full look at the board, including what happened on the ice tonight. It's the Nightcap on VSiN. Tell you what, this bumper music is the type of bumper music you need as an evening show. You know, back east, it's in the new day. It's past midnight. Let's get you juiced up. Matt Holt, Tim Murray with you. It is the Nightcap, first show of many to come. Each and every weekday night, 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific, 10 to 1 a.m. Eastern on VSiN. You can stream it for free, vsin.com/listen-live. We just had some treats and beats, and you know, if you're playing puck lines out there, sometimes you get a beautiful empty netter. And if you took the Boston Bruins tonight on the puck line, that went off here at circa plus 174, Matt. Bruins were down 3-0. Looked like smooth sailing for the Washington Capitals. No regulation losses all year. 5 unanswered goals for the Bruins, and you got to cash a plus 174 puck line ticket on the Boston Bruins as they win that one tonight.
And it wasn't just that they had 5 unanswered, 4 in the third period. 4-0 third period for Boston. Ouch.
That is tough. The New York Rangers, they won tonight, and they win that one 3-1. They were an underdog, so the puck line was on Pittsburgh there at plus 230. The Rangers get an empty netter as time expires. The Montreal Canadiens were a plus 145 on the puck line tonight. They win that one 6-2 over the Vancouver Canucks. Tampa Bay, the favorites at home tonight, plus 160 here at Circa.
Defending champs starting to get it going a little bit now. They had a bit of a slow start, kind of a Stanley Cup hangover, but second straight win, starting to pick it up.
And they win that one 5-2. So every game outside of Calgary and Winnipeg coming home with a double-digit finish. And those were your 5 games on the ice tonight. VGK and the San Jose Sharks, of course, postponed due to COVID reasons. Tomorrow should be fun. We'll have 2.
And lots of overs again in the NHL.
Yeah. We had
4 of the 5 games.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You look at that. You look all of them except for New York and Pittsburgh hitting the over tonight. And tomorrow, pretty big slate of hockey, and it'll be fun on the show. We'll have 2 games that will start after we hit the airwaves. Ottawa at Edmonton tomorrow. That is a high total of 6.5.
Well, they just played last night, so and I forget the final. I think it was 9-3. I think they put up a dozen goals or something last night. So not surprising that you're seeing that 6.5 over juice total.
Yeah, and last night the Oilers beat the Senators last night 8-5.
Yeah, I knew it was huge.
So there you go.
Yeah.
We've got 6.5 juice to the over minus 120. Anaheim and LA tomorrow night should be a good one there too. So looking forward to a little in-game action on the show. Puck drop. We'll have those games on here in the studio.
In-play hockey's fun because you can get some. I mean, every goal is so important that you get these huge, drastic swings in line. So if you see some underdog opportunities with a team down, I mean, I would have liked to go back and see what the odds were at the Bruins down 3-0 tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. I think you might have been able to get like 25-30 to 1.
Yeah. So the Bruins get that home 5-3. Looking at the night on the association, we'll turn the page here to wrap things up in the final segment. Big college hoop slate tomorrow, but NBA will start in just head down the rotation order. Cleveland, a 3.5-point favorite, money on Minnesota tonight, and it comes home 100-98. The final score. The under hits in Cleveland, Minnesota. A lot of Minnesota early on, one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and the over, the total got bet up to 222 here at Circa, and the under pretty comfortably comes home 198. The total. In Cleveland and Minnesota. I said it was a treat. It was a beat if you had Atlanta because we were just watching the highlights in the break. Atlanta was right there this whole game. The Lakers have been on a lengthy road trip. They had a slugfest of a game on Saturday night, Matt, and they're able to bring it home. 107-99, some late free throws, important to some, from LeBron James, 107-99. Lakers get it home against the Hawks.
And that was literally a 2-point game with
like
2 minutes to go, and then the Lakers just pull away late. And it's that crazy last sequence when you're on either side of that bet where the Lakers miss a 3, you think you got it. The offensive rebound gets tipped around. Lakers get the loose ball, and LeBron gets fouled and drills both free throws, and there it is, night-night.
LeBron had 9 points in the final 90 seconds of this game, but did not get home on his player prop of 26.5 points.
Despite a little harassment from a fan.
Yes.
LeBron dishing out treats tonight.
Yeah, check out Twitter. We can't play anything that was said in this video from looked like a little disgruntled of a fan.
Yes.
Yeah, a little slightly
She
disgruntled.
was a upset young lady.
Yes, not happy that the Hawks did not cover, apparently, tonight. The Hornets, as a road dog, get it home in overtime. Malik Monk, big night here, 36 points. The Hornets win this game tonight, 129-121. The Heat went off as a 7.5-point favorite. Sacramento, a road dog tonight, getting home 118-109 against New Orleans. That one 2.5. New York at Chicago. The Chicago home favorite 3.5. That one gets home 110-102. Houston. Wow, I saw a lot of people on the under on this one. It got bet down to, I want to say, actually started. We saw some over money come in, which came home at the end, but Houston 136-106. Houston red hot right now, 5-1 ATS, Matt, in their last 6 games. A no contest 30-point win over Oklahoma City tonight.
11 for 14 from 3-point range in the first quarter tonight. Oh goodness.
Yeah, if you had Houston, that's a good start to that game. Milwaukee back-to-back losses to New Orleans and then Charlotte, and they were angry tonight. They took out their anger on Portland, winning 134-106. The over hits of 235. The team total for yours truly does not get there for Portland, as Milwaukee ran away with this one. 46 points in the first quarter, and the Bucks take care of business as a 10-point favorite.
And if you watch this game, if this was an MMA fight, Portland tapped out midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, we were sitting here as the show started. I felt like, okay, first bet of the new show. Maybe this will come home. No, not so much. Did not come home. But you know what? We made up for it with the Texas Tech win. A couple other games we'll get to in the NBA. We'll close out the show with some college hoops, thoughts about tomorrow, and a look back at today. Memphis, how about this? A 31-point win at San Antonio tonight, Matt. They went off as a 4-point dog, actually 4.5-point dog here at the Circa. And then the game of the night, Phoenix against a healthy Dallas Mavericks. The Phoenix Suns get home 109-108. Game of the night, no doubt about it. Phoenix, a 2-point dog on the road at Dallas, gets home by 1.
Chris Paul, the legend, turned back the clock tonight.
34-9-9. Luka Doncic under his total of 27.5 tonight. There you have it. A look at the night's evening in the association. We'll wrap up with some college hoops here on the Nightcap.
big names most people recognize with the Brent Seabricks, Jonathan Taves of the world, all on IR. Kirby Doc, the young stud, also getting injured in the preseason. And Alex DeBrincat, he's right now dealing with COVID issues on the IR himself. What did you look at, if anything? Is there anything that you're thinking about, whether it's pregame or in-game, as they've just dropped the puck now in Chicago?
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Columbus is only about, minus 115, 120, depending on where you shop. And when they played the other night, it opened at about a pick 'em, it looked like. And then naturally the money came in on Columbus. And I kind of agree with your assessment with the total at 5.5. It just seems strange to see a low total for a Chicago Blackhawks game really in general, because we're so accustomed to them consistently going